All right, and welcome back to Bayou Time, and we are joined by the Houma Police Chief, Travis Terrio. There was a shooting this weekend, and actually a band member who was performing downtown was actually struck by a part of the bullets from that incident. So joining me now, the Police Chief of Houma, Chief Terrio. How are you, sir?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Good. Now, this is very unusual. We were talking prior to the show. Not certain if this has ever happened. Maybe it has. I can't recall.
I'll start off. I can't say for certain, but I
Right.
don't remember us ever having something where someone was hit by a falling bullet.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
It's
And
unusual to say the least.
unusual, and it's just another show that nobody has regard for safety or respect for other people's lives.
Yeah. So your investigation, what did y'all find out?
So 8:30 p.m. officers responded to Southern and Third, and when they arrived, they had learned that there was a bunch of shots fired. And initially, they weren't able to locate any victim, anything like that, but they located numerous shell casings. And they later located a vehicle that had been shot as it was passing by, and they're working with that person to try and resolve this as well. But at the same time this was coming in, they received a complaint of someone that it was actually an aggravated battery because the person didn't know what he was hit by. There was a concert in downtown Houma at the same time as the 5K Run for Excellence. So they were at the Memorial Park, which is located along the bayou side between Barrow and Roussel. The gentleman was one of the artists in the band, and they were taking a break, and he got hit in the head by something. Initially, he thought it was a rock, and it wasn't until hours later where he was examined by medical personnel, and they were able to determine it was actually a projectile that had struck him in the head. So the officers started looking into it, and they started comparing times, and the exact time that the aggravated battery complaint was called in, it was the same time that the gunshots came in, and we didn't have any other shots fired complaints in the city. So we're fairly certain that it was a falling projectile from one of the rounds that were fired at Southern and Park that fell and struck him in the head.
How's the band member doing at this point?
So I talked to someone that had talked to him yesterday, and he's stable. The injuries were non-life threatening, and he should fully recover.
What are the chances that you're playing in a band and a projectile just flies? But I guess anything's possible when something's ricocheting and skipping along.
Well, and it's not a ricochet. This is going to be a round that it looks like it was fired probably straight up in the air.
Really?
And then comes straight down on top of him.
Incredible.
Probably the wind carried it and this and that, or had a little bit of an angle, and it just comes down and it hits him.
The hit the on the band member was directly on top of his head?
From what I understand, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
But, whenever you say what's the chance of being hit by a falling bullet, it's probably pretty slim. However, if you're the person firing the shot and you fire that round and it's going to fall in a manner, and it's going to fall with the amount of people we had in downtown Houma this past weekend for that event, it's probably going to hit someone, and people just don't think, this younger generation just does not think before they do something. They're going to change someone else's life and their own.
I was thinking, before this newscast that I'm sure when the district attorney gets this or whatever, are there specific laws, like when Mardi Gras is taking place or when a fundraiser downtown taking place and you have a crowd? Are the laws a little stiffer of that, or are they general laws when you're dealing with a falling bullet?
So it's just general laws. You're responsible for wherever that projectile goes. The person firing that weapon is going to be responsible for it. So whenever you pull the trigger, you're responsible for every single round that comes out of that gun, and we're going to hold you accountable for it once we catch you, because I have all the confidence in the world in our investigators.
Yeah. And I mean, this is something I mean, you just take over as police chief, you don't expect on a Saturday or a Sunday, whenever it occurred on a Saturday, that you're going to get a call and somebody in a band gets hit by a stray bullet.
Right, right. So whenever I got the call, I made a few phone calls to make sure I had this correct.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, it's the odds of this happening. I mean, what's the chances?
It's unbelievable. And we certainly wish the band member well in this instance, and it certainly is unfortunate, but nonetheless, y'all been dealing with a lot of, like you said, it's a generation that we got a lot of great people in that generation, but sometimes they just don't think before they pull the trigger or do different things. It's almost instantaneous and spontaneous right there in the moment.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even wrap my head around it to what they're thinking before they point a gun at somebody and start shooting at them for an argument.
Right.
Never in my life have I wanted to do that. So I don't understand, and I probably will never understand why they do it. I've quit asking why, because I don't think I will ever figure out why they would do something like that.
Well, we certainly appreciate you joining us on this unfortunate bit of news, but nice job in the investigation, and we certainly wish well to that band member who was struck by the projectile. We'll keep you posted on this as we go along on Bayou Time, and we appreciate the chief coming in. We'll see you around the corner right here on Bayou Time.